By the time I got to our front door, it was after 9. The hallway light was on, the way Hannah always left it for me, but the house sounded wrong. Too still, like someone had pressed pause on everything that usually hums in the background. No TV bleeding through the walls. No dishwasher running. No tired "hey you" from the couch. Just the faint, expensive trace of her perfume hanging in the air. Fresh. Recently, I set my keys in the bowl and listened. Nothing. Our place isn't big. You usually know instantly if someone's in it. That night, all I heard was the ticking of the kitchen clock and the small, stupid sounds you never notice until you're trying not to think. 3 business trips in 6 weeks lined up in my head like a stack of failed unit tests. Trip 1, New York. Last-minute client workshop. No entry on the shared company calendar. Trip 2, Chicago. Quarterly training. Her team's group chat, from what I'd glimpsed, never mentioned leaving the city. Trip 3, tonight. Supposedly Chicago again. Supposedly boarding right about now. I'm a systems analyst. I live and die by patterns. Normal people call things like that coincidences. I call them inconsistent data sets. I walked into the office, powered up my home machine, and told myself I was just checking a flight time. That was the lie I gave myself to make the first keystroke easier. Light blue monitor glow, stale coffee from this morning, my fingers on the keyboard. I pulled up our joint bank app first, habit. 2 new transactions popped up in the pending list like they'd been waiting for me. 7:48 p.m., Trattoria Lupo. Italian place across town. 2 entrees, a bottle of wine. 8:29 p.m., Sunview Motor Lodge. 1 night stay. Same card. Same name. Her card. Her name. While she was supposedly standing barefoot in a TSA line at the airport. I didn't call her. I didn't call the airline. I didn't get in the car and race to the terminal like some movie idiot hoping for a misunderstanding. Instead, I opened another window and pulled GPS logs from the tracker we used to monitor our car's maintenance and mileage. One of those practical marriage decisions that suddenly felt like something else. Her car hadn't moved toward the airport. It was parked 10 minutes from that Italian restaurant. I sat there, watching the data stream in quiet little timestamps, and felt something simple and cold settle in my chest. If there was a lie here, I wasn't going to chase it around with raised voices and guesswork. I was going to catch it like a clean screenshot, time, date, location. No wiggle room. No, you're imagining things. Just proof. The next day, I stopped pretending this was about intuition. I treated it like any other job. Define the problem, gather data, verify. I told Hannah I'd be working from home. She kissed my cheek on her way out, left a faint print of lipstick I didn't bother to wipe off. As soon as the door shut, I went to the bedroom and pulled the folding ladder from under the bed. I'd already ordered a 4K micro camera the week before, back when this was just a vague itch in the back of my head. Verifying a hypothesis, I'd called it. Now it felt more like setting up a crime scene in my own house. I set up the ladder under the smoke detector, climbed up, and popped the cover off. I froze. There, sitting neatly inside where the plastic plate should have been empty, was a camera. Same size, same matte finish, same kind of device I had sitting unopened in a box in the closet. My stomach didn't drop. Tightened. There's a difference. I didn't yank it out. I didn't swear. I just stared at it for a second, then put the cover back like I'd never touched it. If there's a feed, there's an endpoint. I climbed down, folded the ladder away, sat at my desk, and pulled out my laptop. I ran a network scan like I would on a compromised server. Hidden devices, unfamiliar IPs, encrypted traffic. There it was. One signal from the bedroom camera, another from a twin in the living room, both syncing to a laptop that wasn't mine. Router logs showed regular connections at odd hours, like someone checking in on their favorite show. Except the show was me. I traced what I could, watched the packets hop out to a secure external relay. Nothing illegal, just careful. Professional enough. The truth landed clean. I wasn't the only one watching. While I was building a quiet case on Hannah, she'd already built one on me. Once you find one lie, you stop trusting the surface of anything. The cameras told me she was watching. The fake trip told me she was lying. The next logical step was the thing that never lies if you know how to read it. The money. I wrote a small script on my lunch break Monday, pointed it at our accounts, and let it chew through 6 months of transactions. Groceries, gas, streaming services, the normal noise of a shared life. Then the outliers floated to the top. Every Wednesday, between 11 o'clock and 11:30 a.m., $500. Clean, round, almost polite. H. Lawson Consulting. We don't have a consulting company. I've never filed paperwork for it. I checked state records, business registries, and tax IDs. Nothing. On paper, H. Lawson Consulting didn't exist. But every week, like clockwork, we were paying it. I cross-referenced the transfers with her calendar. Wednesdays were always blocked off as strategy lunch. Sounds important enough that no one questions it. Smart. Next step, GPS. Her phone wasn't sitting in some downtown restaurant or corporate office during those blocks. 6 of the last 8 Wednesdays it planted itself inside a 500-meter radius of the Sunview Motel, the same low-profile place that took her card on Chicago night. The Sunview's the kind of place you drive past without seeing. Cash-friendly, prepaid-friendly, names optional as long as the card clears. Layer by layer, the pattern built itself. The $500 consulting transfers. The recurring motel reservations. Charges from a boutique lingerie shop she'd never once worn anything from at home. And then, like a punchline only an analyst would appreciate, an order confirmation buried in her email. A surveillance kit from the same online store I used. That's not carelessness. That's design. Somebody didn't slip. Somebody planned a parallel life and assumed I'd stay dumb enough, or trusting enough, not to notice the gaps. After you see the cameras, you can't unsee them. Even with the covers back on, I walked through the house like I was moving inside a glass box. Make coffee, rinse the mug, check my phone. All of it felt like footage waiting to be rewound by someone else. I'd stand in the kitchen some mornings, watching sunlight hit the counter, and think about her somewhere with a laptop open, scrubbing through clips of me tying my tie, answering emails, zoning out on the couch, looking for, what exactly? Proof I was the villain in whatever story she'd written in her head. The irony wasn't subtle. I had my spreadsheets, categorized expenses, GPS logs, timestamps from motel bookings. She had her camera feeds. My routines, my pauses, the nights I came home late and didn't bother explaining why. We'd stopped talking months before the data started screaming. Little things first. I stayed longer at the office because debugging a system made more sense than decoding her silence. She started going to drinks with the team, coming home with that distant look like she'd spent all her words somewhere else. 2 separate investigations spun up under the same roof. Her staring at pixels of me moving around the living room like a lab rat. Me staring at columns of numbers that turned her work trips into motel afternoons. Partners turned into opposing counsel, quietly gathering exhibits. What hit hardest wasn't the thought of her in some motel bed with Tyler. That was almost straightforward in a sick way. Cause and effect. Choice and consequence. What sat heavier was the realization that when things got ugly, neither of us reached for words. We reached for surveillance. We didn't ask each other what was wrong. We logged in, pulled data, and tried to win a case nobody was officially arguing. There's a point where someone stops being a shadow and becomes a person you could tap on the shoulder in a crowd. For me, that started with the motel alias, Ty Grant. Sunview's automated emails weren't smart, but they were lazy. One of the prepaid reservations Hannah didn't bother deleting forwarded to our shared inbox, buried under store promotions and flight confirmations. Different email, burner domain, but same pattern in the name used. Ty Grant. Casual. Familiar. Like a nickname. I ran it like any other lead. Cross-checked guest logs Marcus quietly pulled from the motel against corporate travel records from Hannah's company site, public LinkedIn data, and a few internal event photos she'd proudly posted months ago. Ty Grant lined up clean with Tyler Grant, regional manager. Mid-40s. Smug, polished, the kind of guy who lives in blazers and thinks every conversation is a performance review. Conference photos hit differently when you know what you're looking for. Hannah and Tyler off to the side of a group shot. her laughing at something he said, his hand accidentally close to her lower back. Not proof on its own, but paired with alias reservations, matching dates, and those Wednesday strategy lunches that ended at a motel? That's not a fling. That's scheduling. Then I saw the date she ordered her surveillance kit, 3 days after I got back from a Seattle conference. I come home exhausted, late, distracted. She must have watched me, built her own theory, and decided I'd gone first. Her affair, her cameras. Suddenly they looked less like random betrayal and more like some warped attempt at revenge for a crime I never committed. Somehow that made it worse. There's a moment where anger stops feeling like fire and starts feeling like work. For me, it happened at 2:17 a.m., sitting at my desk with a half-dead mug of coffee and a folder called Integrity_Audit_V1. I could have gone the cliché route, screaming match, plates against walls. How could you on repeat? That kind of chaos looks good in movies. In real life, it just muddies the log files. I didn't want noise. I wanted a clean record. So I started building one. Bank statements first. I exported everything to CSV, sorted by merchant, tagged every motel charge, every lingerie purchase, every H. Lawson Consulting transfer. Color-coded columns, linked them to timestamps from GPS logs. When you lay it all out, the romance dies fast. It's just patterns, Wednesdays, lunch hours, the same motel, the same man. At some point, the rage I'd been holding stopped feeling hot, cooled into something sharper. I needed help to take it further. Not emotional help. Operational. That's where Marcus came in. Marcus Reed and I go back to college. He was the guy who could break into any system you handed him, then write a neat report on how you should have stopped him. Now he works corporate security, the hired wolf companies call when they're scared they're leaking. I called him on a Wednesday, voice steady, like I was booking a meeting, not dismantling my marriage. Got a project, I said. Personal. Sensitive. You in? He didn't ask for details over the phone. He just grunted. Bring everything you have. His office looked exactly like you'd expect. 3 monitors, empty takeout cartons, whiteboard full of arrows and acronyms only he understood. I dropped a flash drive on his desk, sat down, and gave him the abridged version, no drama, just the facts. Motel. Alias. Cameras. Ghost company. Tyler Grant. He listened, spun in his chair once, then plugged in the drive. This is messy, he said finally, but it's real. You want to punch back or just protect yourself? Both, I said. In that order. We spent hours stitching it all together. He helped me pull metadata from Hannah's emails, grab screenshots of fake meeting invites, flag calendar entries that lined up a little too neatly with motel charges. He walked me through tracing the outbound feed from the hidden cameras to her laptop, then to a cloud relay she thought was anonymous. We didn't hack anything. We didn't cross legal lines. We just collected what was already there and put it in a format even a bored HR intern could understand. Folder by folder, the dossier took shape. 01_financials, transfers, card charges, account details. 02_locations, GPS routes, timestamps, motel check-ins. 03_communications, emails, fake invites, strategy lunch placeholders. 04_surveillance, screenshots of the camera feeds, device IDs, network logs. 05_Tyler_Grant, corporate role, code of conduct policies, conflict of interest clauses. At the top, a simple index. No commentary, no insults, just a table of contents for the slow-motion car crash of my marriage. When we were done, Marcus leaned back and whistled low. This is fatal, he said. For both of them. Professionally, at least. Good, I said. My voice surprised me. No tremor, no satisfaction. Just a statement of fact. Now I need a stage. He raised an eyebrow. Are you thinking divorce court? Mediation. I shook my head. I'm thinking of the public. Controlled. Their house, not mine. That's when he mentioned the annual company convention. Big auditorium. Cameras. Live stream to every regional office. A celebration of ethics and leadership they'd been hyping for months. Poetic in a way. We mapped it out like an incident response plan. How I'd get in, how I'd plug in my laptop, how I'd walk them through the personal integrity audit like a clean, professional briefing. No screaming, no scenes. Just me, the data, and a room full of people who'd spent years believing Hannah and Tyler were the kind of people you promoted, not the kind you watched. Humiliation stopped feeling like something happening to me. It started feeling like a weapon I could aim. Corporate events all looked the same from the back row. Dim lights, branded banners, a stage full of people who think they're more important than they are. This one was no different. Hannah's company logo on every screen, some upbeat pop song playing while middle management shuffled in with lanyards and coffee. I came in with an IT investor Marcus knew, wearing a plain suit and a neutral face. To anyone watching, I was just another +1 killing time. Hannah was near the front, next to Tyler. Both of them laughed at something a VP said, clapping on cue. You wouldn't guess their careers were already on fire. They just hadn't smelled the smoke yet. Eventually, the ethics director took the stage to talk about transparency, trust, all the usual buzzwords. Q&A time opened. A couple of harmless questions went first. Then I stood up. Eric Lawson, I said, voice steady. Systems analyst. Husband. A few heads turned. Hannah's whole body went stiff. Tyler's eyes narrowed, like he was trying to place me. I'd like to share the results of a personal integrity audit, I said. Since we're talking about ethics. There was an awkward chuckle from somewhere. The moderator tried to move on. I didn't sit down. The findings involve your regional manager, Tyler Grant, I continued, and senior project lead, Hannah Lawson. That did it. The room went quiet in a way you can feel in your teeth. Security glanced at the stage. The ethics director hesitated, then gestured for a mic runner. They brought it to me. I walked calmly down the aisle, plugged my laptop into the side feed Marcus had confirmed earlier. First slide, Sunview Motel parking lot. Time-stamped, grainy but sharp enough, Hannah and Tyler walking out together, his hand on her back, getting into the same car. Murmurs, a sharp intake of breath near the front. Next slide, bank statements, highlighted motel charges. The H. Lawson Consulting transfers. Wednesdays, 11 to 11:30 a.m. neat, clean, undeniable. Then the emails. Fake strategy lunch invites. Calendar blocks. Their names side by side. I didn't narrate with anger. I just walked them through it like any other report. These patterns repeat over 6 months, I said. They violate your code of conduct, your conflict of interest policy, and your zero tolerance for unethical behavior you've been selling on that stage for the last hour. Tyler shot up, face red. This is taken out of context. Sit down, Tyler. The ethics director snapped, eyes glued to the screen. Hannah didn't say anything at first. She just stared at the images, color gone from her face, mouth open like the words couldn't line up. Security moved in. Quiet, professional, the way they do when something serious just happened and everyone knows it. The ethics director took the mic back, voice tight. Mr. Lawson, that will be enough. We'll handle this internally. I closed the laptop, slipped it back into my bag, and nodded. No problem, I said. Just thought your people deserved the full picture. As they escorted Hannah and Tyler out past rows of suddenly fascinated floor tiles, I didn't feel triumph, just a clean, flat sense of completion. The data had finally spoken louder than the lies. The funny thing about blowing up 2 people's careers in one afternoon is how quiet your own life is afterward. No fireworks, no slow clap, just Monday. HR from her company called me twice in the days after the convention. First to thank me for coming forward, like I just submitted a bug report. Second, to reassure me that appropriate actions were being taken. I didn't ask what that meant. I already knew. Tyler disappeared from their website first. His headshot went offline like someone flipped a switch. A couple days later, Hannah's profile changed. No title, no department, just a gray placeholder where her job used to be. The company line was organizational restructuring. Corporate euphemisms for we got caught. None of that fixed the fact that every wall in our apartment felt contaminated. The place had watched me sleep under cameras I didn't know about. It had watched her get dressed for strategy lunches that ended at a motel. I could have ripped out the devices, repainted the walls, pretended it was a fresh start. Instead, I called a realtor. We walked through the place together, her talking numbers while I mentally replayed scenes. Me at the desk building the dossier, her in the hallway whispering into her phone, both of us acting out separate lives under one roof. Good bones? Great light. Nice neighborhood, the realtor said. Yeah, I answered. History included. We listed it. It sold fast. I didn't fight over details. I wanted it gone more than I wanted top dollar. My job was next. I'd been at the same company for 8 years. Good pay, predictable work, decent respect. On paper, there was no reason to leave. But every time I sat in front of a screen there, digging through logs and patterns, all I could think about was how I'd used the same skills to disassemble my own marriage. So I walked into my boss's office with a resignation letter already printed. He frowned at it. You sure about this, Eric? You're one of our best. If this is about personal stuff, you can take time off. I'm sure, I said. It's not burnout. I just don't want to spend the rest of my life staring at other people's data. He studied me for a second, then nodded. If you change your mind, I won't, I said. But thanks. No drama, just a clean exit. I moved into a smaller place across town. 1 bedroom, tall windows, quiet building. No shared walls with Hannah. No hidden cameras. The only lenses I brought in were the ones I bought on purpose. I picked up photography properly for the first time in years. Nothing artistic, just real things. Street corners at dusk. Old men feeding birds in the park. The way rain looked on glass when you weren't watching it from a security feed. There's a difference between capturing a moment and weaponizing it. Weeks passed. The noise from the convention faded into gossip for people who still cared about that company. My phone went mostly quiet. Then Hannah started pushing her way back in. First it was a text, "We need to talk." I stared at it until the screen dimmed, then set the phone face down and made coffee. 2 days later, an email. It was long, too long. Paragraphs of explanations, justifications, half apologies. She wrote about how the distance between us started to feel like cheating even before she had proof, how my late nights at the office and conferences made her certain I had someone else, how the cameras were just to confirm what she already knew. What she already knew. That never happened. She called it a mistake made from pain. She called the affair a reaction, not a choice. She said the surveillance got out of hand. She didn't call it what it was. Premeditated betrayal with an IT budget. I read it once. Then I archived it. Not deleted, just filed. Evidence of a mindset I didn't want near me again. The third contact was in person. It was a Saturday. I'd just gotten back from shooting in the city. A memory card full of strangers' faces I'd never have to analyze. When I turned the corner to my building, I saw her sitting on the front steps like she belonged there. Jeans, hoodie, hair pulled back. No corporate armor. No polished professional version of Hannah. Just the woman I used to come home to, sitting on the concrete like a kid waiting for a ride. She stood when she saw me. "Eric." "Hannah," I said. My voice came out level. That was good. I hadn't been sure. "I texted," she said like it mattered. "I saw." We stood there for a beat, neither of us moving closer. "You ruined my career," she started, then caught herself. "No, I did that. I know. I need you to understand why." "No," I said. "You need to understand why." "I already do." She flinched a little. "I thought you were cheating on me," she said. "Those late nights. The trips. The way you stopped talking. What was I supposed to think?" "You were supposed to ask," I said. "Not install cameras and start fucking your boss." She swallowed hard. "I made a mistake," she whispered. "Mistake is grabbing the wrong file. The mistake is forgetting a birthday." I shook my head. "You built a system." Her eyes watered. She didn't cry pretty. She never had. It used to be something I liked about her, raw, unstyled emotion. Now it just felt like another input I didn't trust. I miss you, she said. I miss us. I know you probably hate me, but can't we at least try to fix it? Go to counseling? Start over. There was a version of me maybe 2 years earlier who would have grabbed that line like a life raft. The one who still believed problems could be patched, rolled back, ironed out with enough communication. That guy was gone. I don't hate you, I said. Hate would mean I'm still in it. I'm not. So that's it? She asked. You just walk away? I already did, I said. At the convention. She stared at me for a second like she was waiting for the punchline. When it didn't come, her shoulders sagged. You're really not even going to try? She asked. I looked at her, the woman who once preached no secrets while planting cameras in our bedroom, who responded to feeling insecure by staging an affair and then monitoring me like a threat. I learned something from all this, I said. Some scars aren't warnings to be healed. They're labels. Don't touch this again. Her eyes broke then. She nodded more to herself than to me. Okay, she said quietly. Okay. She turned and walked down the street without looking back. I watched her go until she turned the corner and disappeared. No dramatic music. No collapsing on the stairs. Just air, and the clean understanding that a door had closed and I wasn't going to try to pry it back open. Inside, my apartment felt smaller but honest. One bed, one desk, one man breathing in a space where nothing was recording him without his say-so. People like to talk about healing like it's always about going back, rebuilding, forgiving. Maybe that works for some. For me, healing was simpler. Accepting the scar, respecting what it cost to earn it, and refusing to walk barefoot over the same glass again. The money showed up on a Thursday. I was halfway through editing a photo. Old guy smoking outside a diner. When my phone buzzed with a notification from the bank, I almost ignored it. Then I saw the number. Mid-5 figures. More than I'd ever had in my account at once. An hour later, a corporate attorney from Hannah's old company called. Polite voice, careful wording. Mr. Lawson, as part of a confidential settlement between the company and Mr. Grant, you are entitled to a compensatory portion based on the evidence you provided. Consider it a recognition of the damages you incurred. Damages. Neat word for having your life turned inside out. I could have asked questions. I didn't. Tyler paying to stay out of court wasn't my problem. The money was clean legally, just ugly morally. After the call, I sat at my small kitchen table, phone in front of me, staring at that balance. That amount could have reset everything. Down payment on a house. New car. A long trip somewhere warm where nobody knew my name or my history. A full, quiet reboot. Instead, all I could think about was the cameras in the ceiling. The way my phone had become a witness. How easy it was to turn someone's life into an involuntary stream. You spend enough time buried in systems, you learn one thing. Attacks never stop. You just hope the defenses get better. So I started looking. Not for vacations. For people fighting the kind of thing I just lived through. Digital harassment, stalking, spyware, non-consensual surveillance. The stuff most people laugh off until it lands on their doorstep. I found a small nonprofit downtown. No glossy website, no big sponsors. They helped people collect digital evidence, lock down their devices, get actual legal protection when someone turned tech into a weapon. Walk-ins only. Old building. Second floor over a pawn shop. I went in on a gray afternoon. The guy at the desk looked tired in an honest way. You here for help? He asked. Sort of, I said. I'm here to fund it. We sat in a cramped office while I explained, high level, no names. Marriage. Cameras. GPS logs. A company that cared more once their reputation was at risk. He didn't interrupt. When I finished, I slid a printed form across his desk. Wire transfer details already filled out. All of it, I said. He blinked. You're sure? This is. Yeah. I cut in. I'm sure. Most people keep at least some, he said carefully. Most people didn't spend a year being turned into a case study, I said. I don't want blood money sitting in my account pretending to be a fresh start. Put it where it can actually block something. He nodded slowly. We can use it. Firewalls, lawyers, outreach. You'll help a lot of people who'll never know your name. Good, I said. They don't need it. We signed papers. I walked out lighter, but not in the way people mean when they talk about closure. This wasn't closure. It was an allocation. That night, I sat by the window in my apartment, city lights blinking like a dashboard full of alerts. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't thinking about Hannah or Tyler or what they were doing now. I was thinking about the line between being broken by something and being shaped by it. Everyone loves revenge stories. The big reveal. The meltdown. I had mine. It did what it needed to do. But the real win wasn't on that convention stage. It was here, alone, quiet, choosing not to turn into a permanent security system in human form. Not letting paranoia be the only legacy of what happened. In the end, I didn't get the girl back. I didn't want her. I didn't get a neat, romantic second chance. What I got was something better. A firewall built from my own mess pointed outward. And a decision I keep making every morning I wake up and don't check for hidden cameras. What happened to me is part of my story. It's just not the thing that gets to define the rest of it.